Hey y'all, I'm Riot. Welcome back to Weekly Hyperfixations. Um, Honestly, on the docket, this week was a little difficult to prepare because, like I mentioned last week, I am a part of a Minecraft SMP event that I decided to do to try and combat the wave of introvertedness that's come upon me recently within like the last year and a half ish. Um, which, first of all, it is working. I am getting more comfortable with just speaking to people I don't know if I need to, which is nice. Um, but also it's taking up most of my time. But luckily I do have fully I've got everything prepared for this week. It just took a hot minute. I'm even like I had to not be a part of I had to not be in the SMP event today because I procrastinated and spent too much time with the homies yesterday on the server. So now I'm actually, for once, editing and filming in the same day. So that's fun. Let's see. Okay. Some very brief things from way earlier in this past week, and then most of the rest of the stuff on here is very recent. First of all, IKEA seemingly is teasing an Animal Crossing collab event. They posted a video of literally like dragging and dropping an item in the shape of, the Animal Crossing leaf and dropping it and then choosing, what furniture item or whatever. So people are really hoping that there is an upcoming collaboration between IKEA, the furniture store, and Animal Crossing. Honestly, I hope they do because IKEA tends to keep collabs a little bit longer than a lot of places just because it's a furniture store. And it's not like everyone's gonna buy it necessarily. Though I do think that might be the case this time, if they do that. The only thing I had on my notes from earlier in the week besides that was there was this very funny thing that happened where, and I can't even tell you the name of the other game because it was so irrelevant in my mind, but a Medieval Knights game got announced, and they said they didn't have any of that modern bullshit, basically, which was their way of trying to say there's nothing woke in it without actually saying that, but people saw right through it immediately. And as a very funny thing that happened, because, if you know anything about leading up to the premiere of anything, it's planned months in advance. The same day, a trailer for a different Medieval Knights game came out called Voto, which is you play as a medieval lesbian knight who is looking for her missing love interest, who is a postulant, which, if you are not familiar with the word postulant, that's basically like a baby nun. Like it's a nun, it's a girl who is basically signed up to become a nun and she's still in training. That's a postulant. So first of all, religious trauma. Second of all, medieval lesbians. Also, for any of you Baldur's Gate fans, or I guess Clair Obscur fans, I'm still not super chill with Clair Obscur, even though they have outright apologized for AI usage. But Jennifer English is one of the two characters. I honestly can't remember who because I don't remember what Jennifer English sounds like. But she is one of the medieval lesbians, and that's big ups for everyone. But I thought it was very funny that we had a game that was openly like, we have none of that woke shit here. Hey, first of all, dude, I don't think you know a single thing about, hey, at the game studio working on that game, I don't think you know a single thing about Medieval Knights, dude, because that was like a very queer space in medieval times. But I also think it's very funny that coincidentally, both medieval games launched their trailers on the same day. I'm assuming there was some sort of like event, like streamed event where a bunch of games announced teasers, but it is so funny that those two came out on the same day. Next up on my notes, I have and I will preface this with saying I haven't actually watched the pilot for it, but I have more experience this next thing in like its previous context, if that makes sense. Quite a long time ago, Rubber Ross, or Ross of Game Grumps, however you know Rubber Ross, he pitched the show Gameaverse to a friend, and the pilot came out. And it's being produced by Glitch, which is really exciting. Also, some funny things. They've got Erica Lindbeck in there. They've got Jay Schlatt in there as a voice actor. Honestly, I think Jay Schlatt will be... Honestly, I do think he should be doing voice acting because he does fit a very specific sound. And I think that we honestly need a little bit more of that in gaming. I don't know. I feel like people have tried to make characters too overtly like smooth sounding. Like there's not as many characters, it feels like, that have as grating of a voice. And Schlatt's voice isn't even that grating, but it's just more rough than a lot of things because it's just his normal voice. It's not like he's necessarily putting on a different, like a hugely different voice, you know what I mean? I'm trying to remember who else was in there. Oh, they got Christopher hold on. They got the voice actor for Vegeta in there. Hello. Don't know why I can't remember his name off of the top of my head. I think it's Chris Sub. Right? I don't remember, but he's also in there. Crazy work. But I just wanted to highlight the Gameaverse pilot, even though I haven't even seen it, because I've known of like Rubber Ross and his content for long enough that I've been watching like some of his earlier drawing streams that like have like where he mentions it offhandedly and like he's like, yeah, I kind of have this idea for a game, and like also like I've just heard about it through the years since he originally pitched that idea to a friend, and it is so unbelievably exciting to hear it come to fruition, and to see that it's going to happen. That's a huge deal. And also looks banger from what I can tell. The most of the clip I've seen is just of showing each character and the voice actor that's playing them. But I recommend checking it out, honestly. After I record, I'm going to take a brief break before editing and watch it myself. So, I'm going to highlight. I'll highlight this in the middle. I'll highlight that now. So a Spanish scientist by the name of Dr. Mariano Barbacid has cured pancreatic cancer in mice. Okay? Did you process this with me? Okay. This man has figured out how to cure a form of cancer, and apparently a very deadly form of cancer. I was unfamiliar with like how terminal pancreatic cancer can be. Apparently it's very, very damning, basically. But he has successfully cured it in mice. Successfully. So that is a huge step in development towards curing cancer, especially with such a serious, such a quickly advancing form of cancer, I suppose. Unfortunately, Dr. Barbacide does have like a birth defect on his face, and so, of course, unfortunately, a lot of people are just fucking ignoring the fact that he literally cured a form of cancer. Hello. Successfully in rats because they want to make fun of his face. And honestly, grow the fuck up. This dude is curing cancer and all you can do is make fun of him for how he looks. What the hell? You know, like, grow a pair, grow up. And grow a pair of what? Doesn't matter. Okay? But I wanted to touch on that because that's probably the most exciting thing I've heard this week, genuinely. Like on a genuine world level, that is one of the most encouraging things I've heard this week. And now everything else I'm going to talk about is silly. Pepsi did a commercial dunking on Coca-Cola real hard because, as you may know, Coca-Cola has been using artificial intelligence to make a lot of their ads, and it's been, you know, kind of ruining their not even kind of, it's been ruining the reputation very steadily. So Pepsi paid so much money to have an authentically made by artists CGI ad in which the Coca-Cola polar bear goes to therapy and discovers that he actually likes Pepsi more, basically. And literally goes to therapy about it and everything. And, you know, they have a clip of the polar bear doing a blind taste test between Pepsi and Coke, and 100% with the blindfold on points to the Pepsi, saying that one's better, and then takes off the blindfold and then goes to therapy right after that. It's a beautiful ad, and it's a very successful dunk on Coca-Cola, not just because of like the mascot and shit, but because they also are dunking on the fact that we are going to have a more successful commercial and we are going to use real artists to prove to you that that is more successful, basically. So Pepsi's really winning right now. This is a silly little thing. Recently, Mayor of New York, Zoran Mamdani, got a custom Carhartt jacket that's really fucking cool. Says this, it's got embroidered the city of New York on it. On the shoulder here, it says mayor. And then I found pictures from when the jacket was being shipped to him, like the finished product photos that someone from Carhartt posted that show that inside the collar, it says, "No problem is too big, no job is too small." Hell yes. Thank you. I also just think it's really cool. It's a very fashionable jacket as well. Pure, like all black Carhartt jacket. So it's very suited towards New York winter. But also I just really like that Zoran Mamdani is not afraid of what's going on right now because he knows someone needs to be a face of hope in this country, and he is really delivering on that. So thank you, Mayor Mamdani. Let's see. Ooh, yes, Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream trailer came out fully. Okay. And here's just a rundown of the good shit. Okay. First of all, the gender options are now male, female, or non-binary. You have the option to choose what kind of me's a me likes. You can choose male, female, or non-binary. You can choose a mixture of any of those three, or you can choose none at all, successfully including Arrow Ace people. And then on top of that, we've got, you can doodle little pets for your Tomodachi Mi's to interact with. I will say they are severely limiting the online communications. They've taken out online communication entirely, mostly because they were worried about what people will put on there. So they just eliminated the feature entirely to make sure that the game stays safe and fun for everyone, which is really nice, honestly. It's definitely preferable to if people started to somehow get toxic through that. So, you know, let's see what else. Also, they showed that you can make clothes for your Mii, and you can use a stamp of their face on it, which does unfortunately mean that a lot of people will be making Miku binders. Heard. Let's see what else. I can't think of anything else in the Tomodachi Life. I'm just excited for there to be queer relationships. I will say, as is expected, there are people on Twitter who are like, ugh, they hired a female CEO and now the whole game is woke. Hey, first of all, the CEO that you're speaking of is exclusively for America. This game's been in development for long before she took that seat as CEO. And also, Japan is the one who worked on this. America didn't get to make any huge decisions in that. All we did was localization for our language. Like, what do you mean? Japan made this. She had nothing to do with it. The development started before she was even CEO. And she's also not CEO of Nintendo. She's just CEO for Nintendo of America. She's just in Kirkland, Washington. That's it. You know what I mean? Like, also, I do say Kirkland, Washington, because I do know that that's where the Nintendo of America headquarters are. Because I've literally driven past it before. I've seen it with my own two eyes while in that state. So, you know. Let's see. What else do I have? Oh, yeah, of course. I did want to talk a little bit about how District Civilization SMP is going. If you missed me talking about it last week, last week's episode was right before it started. We are now 7 days, I believe, into the SMP. We are a full week in, and it ends on the 1st. My participation in it will probably be ending on the last day of the month instead, because I do have something to get to on February 1st that is important because it determines what I'm doing after the SMP, really. I have an audition to go to. So there's that. But it's been going really well. Conveniently, you know, if you did not see last week's episode, basically there are 100 players on the server. Of course, there's a team of mods on top of that. But there are 100 players, 4 districts. Basically, the world is divided into 4 cubes. Yellow, blue, green, and red. I'm on the green team. We have had no deaths so far. Well, as far as I'm aware. I did not participate in the SMP today, so we could have had a death. I'm not sure. But it's been really good. I really enjoy my team. I think a lot of us, there's a good portion of us that have never done a civilization event before. And I do think that a lot of us want to do a longer term SMP after this just to keep hanging out because we all work together really well. Like, I genuinely think that the majority of the green team, the little, like, basically BuzzFeed quiz they had us take to kind of, like, try to keep people on teams where there were people, like, more like-minded people. Like, our entire team really just wants to be peaceful and not have to do any of the actual death stuff. We're very, very chill, build focused. Whereas also at this point in time, our team has had 0 infighting, literally at all. None of us have fought, like, argued with each other really or anything. Every other team has done that. Yellow seems to have a lot of leadership focused people and a lot more outgoing people. Blue also seems to have a lot of outgoing people. Red kind of seems all over the place. But I think it's really interesting that they definitely successfully at least grouped the green team together. And it's been a lot of fun. I've watched Drag Race with some of the people from my group, and like someone invited me to, when applications open, apply to a more long-term SMP if I'm interested, because I was literally talking about how, to that person, about how I do like doing an SMP with other people, but I don't think I like how short a Civilization SMP is. Because a lot of the point is to be the last, the whole goal, as far as I'm aware, is to be the last group standing. And we're also, you know, there's maybe, I want to say 12 days of the SMP-ish. And the shortest SMP I've done was like several years. So, yeah, I don't know. But I'm very excited. I'm gaining a lot of friends from this, even some that are conveniently in the same time zone as me, which is really nice, even though I have a really fuck-ass sleep schedule. But it's been very fun, and I just wanted to touch upon that. I will probably talk about it more next week, because then the SMP will be fully concluded, and it's a lot easier to talk about something once it's wrapped up, honestly. But I wanted to touch on that just to give y'all a little update. We're going to go ahead and move on to the pyramid today. Honestly, I feel like most of these are self-explanatory, self-explanatory, but most of it's pretty silly, in my opinion. First up on the pyramid, and this goes for the first and second spots here on the bottom row of the pyramid. And I haven't talked about the video specifically, but first up on the pyramid is Matt Mercer, because of a video that came out today with Variety that's like an hour long. And it's him in dialogue with Brennan Lee Mulligan, and they're just talking about being DMs. And as a DM, I'm like, oh, thank God, a long video with two DMs that I admire in terms of both their storytelling and their management of their tables and how well that goes. And also they have very different DMing styles. So it's a very good collaborative, almost like a convention panel where they haven't been given questions necessarily, but it's just them kind of having a dialogue about DMing that I think is very informative. Honestly, even if you are not someone in the DM chair, the Dungeon Master chair, I honestly recommend it. If anything, just because it's really interesting. I am only like 12 minutes into the video because it's so long, and I had to come record this, but genuinely, already it's so interesting because they're talking about how a lot of people are like, oh, you're the DM, and they don't really think all of what that entails. But, you know, you're not just managing yourself, you're managing other people. So you are functionally a manager. You are also a writer, an actor, a voice actor. Like, you have to fill all of these roles that are contained within this one seat. And I think it's very informative, and I'm very excited to continue watching that video. And that's why Matt Mercer is on the pyramid. And of course, next up on the pyramid is Brennan Lee Mulligan for the same exact reasons. I also, the whole reason that I have put Brennan slightly higher up on the pyramid than Matt is purely because I am a very big fan of how analytical and precise Brennan Lee Mulligan is with asking questions, and just how very clearly, like, he must have done debate or something, because he asks such good questions and like really has a great handle on just everything with, like, okay, I've asked this person this question. Depending on their answer, I might ask you know, one of these other questions that I have in mind, and just very much also just asking questions and not over commentating on the other person's answer, genuinely in a debate format, like letting the other person finish their thought before you speak, which is really nice. And it honestly lends to the video a lot. And again, I'm only 12 minutes in and I'm already thinking that highly of this video. But also Brennan Lee Mulligan has been very, very outwardly vocal all the time about his political beliefs and like really being just like a, hey, people, you need to wake the fuck up. Matt Mercer has as well, but I know for a fact that Brennan Lee Mulligan is way more outwardly like that. But also Brennan Lee Mulligan is just a little more predisposed to being louder in activism. You know what I mean? Next up on the pyramid is Zohran Mamdani, Mayor Zohran Mamdani of New York. Literally just because I like his little jacket, but also, he also isn't afraid to back down from he also isn't, backing down from what is happening in the country, excuse me. And is very much being like, you guys need to remember that this is not normal. Nothing that's happening is normal, and you need to understand that. And, you know, some people legitimately won't really see much politics outside of things that they overhear. So someone like Zohran Mamdani, who is such a big change for New York, obviously people are going to be talking about it. So then if people are talking about it more, people who don't actively seek out politics are going to overhear conversations on like the subway or the bus, you know, things like that. And I'm honestly just so glad that New York has someone leading them who has his head on their shoulders. Next up on the pyramid is my silly pick. Okay. You got to be with me here. Apparently he was exclusive to the, North America trailer, as far as I'm aware, for Tomodachi Life. But next up on the pyramid is Hugh Morris, the name of the jester that was in the Tomodachi Life trailer. His name is a pun off of the word humorous, if that was not clear. But I put him on the pyramid because he's a silly little guy, literally a quirked up white boy. They gave him the quirky trait in the trailer. Also, they used him as a vessel for showing the kind of Tomodachi love confession scene where you can send a me will confess to another me, and then another me is like, well, no, I love them more. And then another me shows up and no, I love them more. And they did that with Hugh Morris being the guy that all of these people wanted. That shit is so funny to me. Also, I think Tumblr's gonna run with this little guy for a while, so I wanted to put him on the trailer because I think he's really silly. Also, I decided, because I will be purchasing this game. I know it's $60, whatever. It's a new game that I can get on my Nintendo Switch 1, okay? But I decided that I am going to have two different islands. I'm going to put basically a self-insert character that's going to be Arrow Ace, so no, they won't date any characters. And that will be the mayor of each town, okay? And it will be mayor of Yaoi Town and mayor of Yuri Town. And I've never had a more clear thought in my mind. I'm just gonna put all my ships on these two islands, and that's it. I'm really excited about it. Also, if I'm able to, I might stream that. I'm not entirely sure. Next up on the pyramid is Rubber Ross, or Ross O'Donovan. He's on the pyramid because what a wonder to have this idea for a project, this pitch for a project for so long, and then it finally comes to fruition. You genuinely get to see one of your dream projects come to fruition. And I just wanted to highlight that and put that high up on the pyramid because it takes a lot. Ross is an animator. I'm sure he's doing a lot of work on it. And I'm sure they've got a whole team, but it's a lot of work for one person to put in. So to finally see that to fruition is absolutely incredible. And I'm so happy to see it come to fruition. And then top of the pyramid is Dr. Mariano Barbacid, because the dude literally cured pancreatic cancer in rats. I don't know how that could be any less important than top of the pyramid. That's a huge move. I'm so excited about that. Genuinely. It's not even like there's a personal stake in it or anything. It is genuinely just like when, growing up in the very early 2000s, like growing up in that time period, a lot of kids who wanted to be doctors, a lot of them were like, oh, I want to be able to cure cancer. So to see someone actually do it is huge to me. Just because that was such a normalized goal when people who wanted to be doctors were talking about it. They wanted to ultimately reach that goal. So to see someone actually do it means that it is way more feasible than a lot of us thought, which is really great. I don't even want to be a doctor. Okay, I'm a theater kid. You really think I want to do that? But it is so exciting to see something that seemed so unattainable become obtainable. You know what I mean? Excuse me. That is all for the pyramid this week. Hopefully I didn't go too fast through that. I got a little excited, and I know sometimes I speed up talking when I get too excited. But excuse me, holy shit. Also, I know I don't normally wear lipstick. I decided that to motivate myself, I find a lot of joy in doing makeup, and I decided, well, my partner and my dog are away house sitting. I needed to stay put to do the things that I need to do. So I didn't go with them this time. And because of that, I'm like, well, it'll be fine to wear. I mean, this is like a really really stable lipstick that doesn't really come off. I genuinely have to use makeup remover to get it off, but I was like, I'll do a full makeup. I'm even wearing foundation. Literally no reason for it. I'm not going anywhere. Literally just did it for this because I felt like it. That's really what makeup is to me. It's like if I feel like it, I'm gonna do it kind of thing. Because it's just art on my face, basically. But yeah, it's a little silly goofy, but I am for 4 or 5 days without both of my beloveds. So, I don't know. I'm trying to make it as fun as possible for myself because, when you're having fun, time kind of goes by faster, and that's real preferable. Mainly because I can handle not being around my partner, that's fine. But getting into bed and not being able to cuddle my dog is crazy. I was very confused when I woke up today and no one else was in the bed, and I'm like, hello, what is happening? Anyway. Don't know why I rambled about that. But anyways, that'll be all for this week. I was going to be streaming every single day of the SMP, but I did have some streaming complications pretty early on. So I've moved on to just recording. Whether or not I will post those remains to be seen. It would be on a different YouTube channel just because I want to keep this Weekly Hyperfixations channel as is. But I mean, regardless, I am still recording it. I may stream the second to last day just because that's my last day on the SMP. But I do also think I will try to stream maybe once or twice a week after the SMP is done, just because I used to do that and I did enjoy it, but I didn't I stopped doing it because I got so delved into this that I kind of forgot about it, even though I definitely had time to. I just forgot and then kept forgetting. And then eventually I realized, hey, I haven't streamed in like 2 months. And then I was like, well, I don't have to go back. And then, you know, but regardless, I will try to make a semi schedule, not necessarily a super strict one, but I will try to stream at least once a week. But you know, things happen, things change. If I get the part that I'm auditioning for, I may have to hold off on that for a little while because it's kind of a tight window for this specific play. I'm also doing props on this play, so I already have to be involved. But overall, you know, I hope you all had a good week. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and I'll see y'all next week. Same time, same place. Trying to think if there's any other housekeeping things. Not this coming Sunday, but the Sunday after that is when the new D&D campaign starts, so I'm very excited about that. So obviously once that happens, I may discuss it a little bit. But overall, I think that's everything for this week. Like I said, have a good one. Next week, same time, same place. I'll see y'all there. Hopefully, since the SMP will be over by next week's filming, by the scheduled filming next week, I will have paid more attention to generic pop culture and not just focus on one thing. But yeah, that's all I've got for y'all then. I'll see y'all next time. Have a good one. Bye, y'all.